I have often worked with engineer brain salespeople and teaching them to make friends. There's one really great thing about brain salespeople is they like systems and processes, right? And if you teach them systems and processes on how to make friends and how to run a deal and how to be organized in the sales process, they generally stick with it. Um, I work with a lot of high expressive hunting salespeople too, and they're really good at like, yeah, 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 got it, makes sense, totally. And then the decay rate is like 48 hours, right? Like forget what they're doing and then they go back to their old habits. So you've often said that about the salespeople, like the glad handing salespeople. Tell me a little bit about some of that a little more. Like what was happening in your company?
Yeah,
What
I think it's really company specific to a degree where we were selling such niche software tools and, without going
it's
into
highly technical stuff.
the domain, highly technical, and you're talking to folks who are often, program managers at,
Yeah.
FBI or something like that, right? I mean, they're technical folks themselves. They really don't want to hear like flighty. They want a very specific path that's going to lead to success. And it's really hard for folks that are not steeped in the details to be able to articulate a lot of that.
Yeah.
What the challenge was is a lot of the folks that I would tap and say, "Hey, I need you to go with me, and we're going to explain this to this, CTO and his staff." They'd be like, "Oh God, I don't want to do this." Right? I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm the engineer, right? I sit at the desk and I write code, and
Right.
like I'm not your guy. And I would say, "You got to be the guy." And so,
Right. Right. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of, and I would have people that I would bring on, and they would just say, "Oh, I don't do sales." They like put their hand in the air and say, "Like I don't do sales," and I'd say, "Wait, yes, you do. You can.
Right. Right. Right.
It's not necessarily that you run the whole process, but you can be involved in really, really involved in some of the process." And so
Yeah.
when we brought on folks that weren't, um, didn't have their technical chops, our customers hated it, right? They saw right through it. And Total Shield
Yeah.
is very similar to that, right? I mean, we're
Yeah.
selling ballistic and explosive shielding to space and industrial customers. They don't want someone who's like, I kind of understand. Maybe this will work. Maybe your guys will die. Maybe they won't, right? I mean, they're like, no, we need you to know you got this, right? Like it's going
Right.
to work, right?
Right. Right.
And so they don't want to hear like a slick sales presentation. They
Exactly.
really want to
Yeah.
jump into it. And so
Yeah.
that's why in both companies, it's just like
Yeah.
we need to figure out a way to get those folks comfortable
Yeah.
on a Zoom call, on a phone call, in person with
Yeah.
end customers.
For sure. You need the nerds to touch antennas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your buyers are naturally skeptical. It's just part of the package. High
Yeah.
analytic engineer brains are naturally skeptical. You have to be proven. They need lots of backup. They need lots of support. They need lots of detail. The challenge is a lot of times the decision makers can be at the executive level and they don't want all the detail and they
Mm-hmm.
don't want all the nerdiness and they don't want to invest the time. The reason they hire experts is say they don't have to spend the time to become an expert, right?